Well, hello, everybody. It's Sunday and I'm here. Welcome to another daily chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby. I hope everyone is doing all right. I see we've got some good numbers in the chat already. Great to see everybody. If you haven't done so already, can I please ask the first thing you do is hit that like button and give us that thumbs up, because that all helps with the algorithm. Tonight, again, something a little bit different. As you know, last week we had Absolutely Average on the channel, and I think that went down well. I think everyone had a good time with that, and we had a good chat. So we're going to do something again tonight. We've brought in another YouTuber, and we can have a good old chat with everybody. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Sanity Checkers. Here he is. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. Yeah, good to see you.
How are you today?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm not too bad. Although, funny enough, I was thinking about you earlier when I was driving home because I had all kinds of crazy drivers on the road coming back. I was in a car park where I work, where I teach, and I had a van had completely wedged me in, and I had to scrape past to kind of actually get out of the parking bay. And then as I was driving home, I was on a 40 road, and then this lady with a dog, and she had her like earmuffs on and hat. She just bombed out into the middle of the road, and she was lucky because I couldn't stop. So I thought to myself, I bet you've had a fair few crazy stories, I imagine.
With the car park that you just mentioned, could you actually get in the car? In the first
yes, it was a funny one because I was parked obviously in the normal way, but it was one of these car parks where there was parking on the side, so that the van was this side, and he was basically like right up to my passenger door, and so I could get in the driver's side, but reversing out, it was a nightmare. And I thought, I bet you've had a fair few.
My favourite one is when I'll arrive at an airport, I'll go to like a services if I'm waiting for the passenger. I park in a space and then I think, I'm just going to go and have a pee, or, I'm going to have a can of Coke or something while I wait. I go to get out and some inconsiderate bastard has pulled right up to the side of my car with about that much space, and being a taxi driver, I'm not the smallest of people. I can't get out the damn bus. So I have to shimmy across the other side and climb out the passenger door. One of my pet hates, but it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, I was just seeing someone said that, Bloodnose said that Andy has driving stories. So I'm surprised I'm surprised you haven't put many of those up, actually. Maybe that's a little segment to kind of, go over some of your kind of top driving experiences.
I have a few, some obscene, some not so obscene. I'll have to think about that. Maybe a segment. I've been a cab driver for 11 years, so I've got some stories to tell. I really have. Some good and some bad. We've got a load of familiar names in the chat, so just a general hello to everybody, and thank you for coming along this evening. We've got John Kent, Lorna McKenzie, Bloodnose, who Sanity Checkers has mentioned, Jeremy Foster. We're doing fine, thank you. Loads of the regulars. Drift Wannabe, whiskey or vodka pool? Cook my dad. Okay. There's the booze talk already. I like this. This could be a good evening. But I've got to keep the booze out the way. You know how people talk, so I better wave cans of Coke in the air instead. But anyway, enough of that.
I'm into Desperados at the moment, which is something I never used to.
Is that the ones you put the lime in the top of?
I think you are supposed to, but to be fair, I mean the tequila and it's got like kind of a bit of lime anyway already in the flavour, so I don't generally do that, but I quite like it. It's my kind of drink of choice at the moment. That's the one I kind of go for.
Right.
So
when you drive a cab, you have to plan your drinks. I mean, I'm going to have a couple tonight because I'm not working tomorrow. So it's almost like an airport run, except with drink. You have to kind of plan it
because of all the kind of like the timings, I suppose, isn't it? It's kind of difficult. A bit like coach drivers and things like that, I suppose.
So you've been on YouTube how long? Couple of months?
Yeah, well, with this channel, yes. I think it was probably about 2.5 months, I suppose. I would say I want
Okay.
to say August, September time. I think it was. And yeah, it's been yeah, it feels like it's been a bit of a whirlwind. Like it feels like it's been quite fast paced, and yeah, I feel like I've learned quite a lot over this last couple of months, and yeah, I thought I could possibly just maybe share a little bit about why I set the channel up, really,
Yeah, go for it.
because it was one of those things where it all kind of came out from the whole lockdown experience that we were all sort of going through. I mean, some of my viewers and maybe some of yours as well will know that I went self-employed, and I started April 2020, which is obviously when everything started and kicked off with the pandemic. So
Mm.
I was like everyone else, kind of at home a lot, and I kind of turned to YouTube in terms of watching content. And since I've been young, I've never really followed the whole narrative mainstream media stuff. I've always questioned things. I've always looked for other answers, and so as you do, you sort of you dig into YouTube and you find things, and I think there were a few channels that I kind of stumbled across and started watching regularly. It was Alex Belfield's channel,
Okay.
John Campbell, because he was suddenly, he was the kind of man who was kind of giving out information and stuff about the whole pandemic. And yeah, so I just started watching these things, and it was kind of just stuff to watch, really. And obviously, when the whole Alex Belfield thing then sort of changed a little bit as time went on and things were changing. I sort of obviously I sort of drifted out from his channel and didn't really follow it so much. I was keeping an eye on things, but not as much. And then when things did eventually go on with his trial and everything, I was thinking to myself, I wouldn't mind setting up a channel where I could like just talk about things that are maybe maybe difficult talking points. A lot of my friends and family are all mainstream media followers. They're all like follow the narrative, and for me, I never really had many people in my life who kind of was on the same wavelength.
Hmm.
So I thought I would try and set up a channel, I suppose, where I could talk about things. And so the Alex Belfield thing was happening simultaneously. And I thought, oh no, I'll talk about this, as a little starting point. And I uploaded the first video, and it did quite well, got quite a lot of views. And I was kind of surprised. And then I noticed that actually that was a bit of a hot topic all of a sudden, and everyone was talking about him. And so I did a couple of videos, 2 or 3, I think, in the early stages, talking about different things, and then I tried to move on to just other kind of talking points, really,
Mm.
and sort of went on from there, really. And that's kind of why I started it up. It was just a way of kind of being able to say how I feel about things, with the hope that there might be someone out there listening. Because, like I said,
I can relate to that totally.
yeah.
I really can. Uh, why did you go self-employed? Tell us about that, because you were a music teacher, weren't you? Why?
I was, yeah. It was funny. There was a video that you did back along when you were talking about your like earlier relationship that you'd had,
Mm.
and how I think sometimes when you're a bit younger as well, you kind of dote on the person and you'll do anything for them, and
Mm.
sometimes that can lead you into a whole lot of world of hurt. And so I was in a relationship for a long time, and we were engaged for a while. And she's a lovely person. We get on well. We've got like a child together. But I think I was so much wanting to kind of please her and make her happy that I kind of sacrificed on things a little bit. So she kind of wanted to have that kind of typical two careers, and a mortgage, and all of the kind of things that everyone grows up to allegedly want. And so I kind of at the time I was just teaching piano and I was just a musician,
Mm.
and she kind of steered me more towards the path of having a career as a teacher, and I never
Okay.
really wanted to do it, to be honest. And so I trained, I went through it all, and I just didn't enjoy it. It was hard. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't the right temperament really for it. And so after a while, after we'd separated and I was still doing the teaching job, I was thinking, hang on a minute, what am I doing? Because, you know, we weren't together, and I was still doing this job that I didn't like. And so I made that brave decision to leave, and I spent a good year preparing everything, you know, real preparation. And then just as I left, the pandemic hit, and then that's where things went from there. So so teaching for me, I learned a lot and I got a lot of experience that has helped me now, but I could never go back to it. It was brutal.
When I worked in IT many years ago, I had a job as an IT trainer. No, trainer, not teacher. There's a bit of a difference in qualifications for the most part. And even with that job, the paperwork, the expectation, the bureaucracy, the hours just got more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
And I should imagine when you have young kids you've got to contend with as well, the stress against the salary and the quality of life and everything could be quite telling, can't it? So
and I think I was probably a little bit naive because I sort of went into the job wanting to kind of impart my love of music on everyone. And of course, there's usually the majority aren't really feeling it. And so I think for me, it was really hard on the soul because, you know, I love music so much, and I was going in day after day sort of battling, you know, against people who just didn't want to be there and hated it. And you know, you do that for a certain amount of time, and it's tough. It is tough.
Okay.
And so I just I couldn't do it anymore. I always said I didn't want to be that, like, you know, that kind of teacher who's like, I don't know, in their 60s, who's in the staff room, who just curses at everyone all the time and everyone like ignores them. I didn't want to become that person, you know, and I thought I've got to get out now, otherwise I'm going to just keep going year after year and end up, you know, miserable.
I just want to segue away from that for a second. Alan Edge, I've just pulled the comment up for him.
Yes, I did just see it.
Sanity, give us a tune. What Sanity Checkers had been doing, Alan, he'd been doing movie requests. I think you done Crocodile Dundee, hadn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
There was I think there was a David Bowie song. Was it Life on Mars you did?
Yeah, Life on Mars.
One of my favourites. And I think that was quite popular. I think you should start doing that again, movie requests, because they sound cool. Just a suggestion.
No, I did start doing it, and then it kind of no, you're right. I should try and get that back up again, really. But yeah, Andy, I would like to play you a tune, but unfortunately, none of my gear, although it's here, none of it's hooked up, I'm afraid. So
that's all right.
It's not a real piano. I'd have to set it all up.
Time and a place.
Yeah. Well, I am going to be doing a live. I'm going to do a live for Christmas. I've put it on. It's, if you go onto my channel to the live section, there's a schedule for I think it's I can't remember the date, sorry, but it's like the week or so before Christmas, and I'm going to just play probably like 45 minutes or so. I'm just going to play some Christmas music, and if people want to come along and like listen, you know, get yourself a drink, and I'll see if I can get myself a Christmas hat or something just to make it nice and festive. And it's just a chance to have a, you know, just listen to some really nice Christmas music and get you into that Christmas mood in that final week or so before we get into Christmas mode. But I won't talk about Christmas too much. It's too early.
No, I don't. I'm having that curse word thrown at me in my house an awful lot lately. So I'll come and hide in the garage. Couple more. 9 o'clock on a Saturday. I know what that is. The regular crowd shuffles in. There's an old man sitting next to me, making love to his tonic and gin. Billy Joel, Piano Man.
Oh, Piano Man. Oh, yes. That's it.
Matt Walton says, a question for Sanity Checkers. I'd love to be able to play a musical instrument, but do you find the ability to play your music a way for stress relief?
Yeah, it is good for stress relief. Absolutely. I think I'm one of those kind of performers that feels much more comfortable when I'm just playing in my own space on my own, you know, where I can kind of just absorb what I'm doing. I tend to find when I'm playing in front of, say, an audience, that I can't switch off the kind of analytical part of my brain that is like analyzing everything, and I can't fully I wish I could just let go a little bit more and relax a bit more, but I just find that my brain goes a little bit kind of crazy then. But certainly when I'm on my own and I'm, and I'm playing, it is, it is a stress relief. Particularly, if you've been playing for a while and you kind of don't have to think too much about the actual mechanics of playing and you can just sort of do it, then it is nice. And I think the most important thing is that it's what it gives to other people, really, because usually when I play piano for people, they generally do come away. I've had so many comments from people, even on the channel, who've said that the music's made them feel, really much better or happier. And I think for me, that's what gives me the buzz, really, is when I get that kind of feedback. And similar to when I do, because I do a bit of busking as well, and it's really nice hearing the feedback that I get. You get all kinds of people that come along, and some people will say to you, "Oh, that song you're playing," and they might get teary-eyed because it might be a song that there's associated with, say, they've lost their husband or something. And I had a lady do that. She came to me and she said, "Oh, that was my husband's favorite song," and she was getting really like emotional and things. And and you realize that music is very very universal, isn't it?
I mean, that's the thing with music, isn't it? You can hear a tune and it can trigger a memory or an emotion, or it can take you back
Yeah,
to a place that you hadn't seen in 20 years, and you just sit there and it's there again. Music is very, very powerful like that, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
there's a song. I say a song. It's a piano piece. I literally cannot listen to at all. If I hear just a couple of bars, I have to say, turn it off. I can't listen to
Okay.
it. I suppose everybody has a song like that, or it's just me being strange. But
You might have to
it,
tell me
it,
that one at some point, just in case I don't accidentally do it at some point. But I know what you mean.
I'll tell you off screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I know
uh,
what you mean. I've still got songs that had a profound effect on me when I was like 16 or 17, and even now I'm 41 now. But as soon as I hear it, I'm just transported right there. It's incredible
okay.
what your brain does with all of this.
Yeah, we're a similar age, and by the sound of it, I'm 44, be 45 in July coming, so
Yeah.
not too much distance
No,
between us
no,
age
no,
wise, but
no.
that's all good. Let's go back a couple of years. You said you left teaching and you went to you became self-employed, and obviously your timing sucked because we were hit with a global pandemic that nobody knew about. I mean, my business personally, uh, we knew it was coming for a little while because of where we did air travel, getting people to and from. You heard whispers and you made sure you knew what was going on, and all of a sudden, we went bang, and I must have lost £20,000 worth of bookings within 48 hours. It just all
Mm,
crumbled. Next thing I know, I'm delivering pizzas and Big Mac and large fries locally, driving my car
yeah,
around. And it was like that probably for a year before the airport started again. And that's where YouTube took off. Because, like you, I sat in this garage talking to my mobile phone, hoping eventually somebody would listen.
yeah.
And, I've said the story enough times. But what about you? What happened? You went self-employed. You had these ambitions, and then all of a sudden, boom, it all stopped. How did you get by? Did you want to give up? Did you get the help? What happened? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I'm probably one of the only people, or one of the few people that didn't get any help at all during it, because the whole rule with the self-employed and the furlough stuff that was going around was that you had to be able to demonstrate accounts for, I think it was about 2 years. Of course, and I'd
That's
only
right.
just started, so I had nothing to show. And so, yeah, I had nothing other than just I had a bit of savings put aside, and yeah, it was really difficult. And obviously, on my channel, I've uploaded a couple of videos as well, just from that time, because I was doing like a kind of just a video blog of my time as things were happening week by week. And yeah, I was very lucky. To be honest, things could have been a lot worse, because obviously, primarily piano teaching was my main source of income. But the problem
Mm,
was all the schools closed down. You couldn't have any close contact, and so all of that was kind of just thrown out the window. Busking was something I was going to do, because April through to the summer was going to be a period where I'd go out and play a lot, and obviously the shops were closed, no shops, no shoppers, so that was all gone. So what I was very lucky. I was getting employed by a music school, and the music school were really pushing hard not to lose pupils. So they set up online teaching. And so we all just said, look, let's give it a go. Let's see if it works. Let's see if we can kind of maintain, because we're not talking a few students here. We're talking hundreds of students to try and take over to online. And so we needed to check that it worked. And yeah, so we did some online. A lot of the kids in particular really enjoyed it because it gave them a bit of structure. Because obviously for kids at that time, they didn't know what was going on. They weren't at school, they were scared, because of all the stuff that was going on. And so luckily, a lot of them really enjoyed having online lessons. And I was able to actually keep most of my pupils online during that time. So I didn't lose a lot. And so it was just a case of waiting it out until I could return to the full numbers. I moved kind of projects forward. So I had projects planned for the winter, which I then moved forward because I've written a couple of books. You see, I've had a couple of books published, and they came out earlier than I planned.
Okay.
And yeah, luckily I survived. I think the cost of living I'm finding that harder than the pandemic at the moment. Just I think I got through the pandemic, but this next challenge is kind of, yeah, it's not so easy. But I figure if I can survive the pandemic, I must be able. I've got to be able to survive anything really at that stage.
Definitely, it's like a completely different phase, isn't it? I mean, YouTube channels at the time, and this one was really born at that time. It was all about the pandemic and let's have a bit of news and everything else. But now we've got into an area where we're going to have our struggles. We're going to wonder how we're going to make ends meet, and that's where I want to move mine to. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, just we all go through life where we pick up certain things. We all have certain knowledge which we can, try and impart and help others, can't we? And
Yeah.
I'm hoping with these YouTube channels, mine, yours, and others, we can do that sort of thing. Before we move on, I just want to say to everybody, thank you for coming this evening. This is Sanity Checkers, who's been kind enough to join me this evening for a chat. I hope you're all enjoying what you're seeing so far. It's just a chance to get to know him a little bit better and see what he's about. That's all, it's all good in anybody's book. If you haven't done so already, can I please ask that you hit the like button on this chat, because it does help the algorithm, helps YouTube find the channel. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please can you do so? It's completely free to do. It doesn't cost you a dime. And again, it just helps the algorithm. Also, could I ask that you subscribe to Sanity Checkers as well? In the description of this live stream, I think I've put the link in there for Sanity Checkers. But if I haven't, if you have a look in the chat, you'll see his channel link appear there now. You can go and subscribe and give him a bit of a push. He's got just under 700 subscribers, I think. So for a couple of months' work, that's bloody good going. That really is. So let's try and boost him up a bit more, and we'll go from there. Speaking of channels, you said to me in private that you're looking at doing something different with your channel, maybe going in a slightly different direction. Tell us about your thoughts there. What are you thinking of?
Yeah, it's been a funny one because, like I said to you before, the Sanity Checkers channel, a lot has happened in that short space of time. And sort of going back to how, when I said that, I started with the Alex Belfield videos, I always knew that I kind of wanted to move and branch off and kind of let it grow organically. And I think it has. And I think the one thing that I'm really proud about the channel is that I've got a nice community forming, the regular people who see, who leave comments, and there's just this really lovely bunch of people on my channel. And I love that. And I suppose I've been thinking about, what I want to do going forward. And I think one thing I've talked about a lot is sort of mental health, and particularly now at this stage where everyone is really struggling. I was thinking about possibly rebranding Sanity Checkers to be a little bit more of a channel devoted more to kind of well-being, through lots of different kind of sort of avenues, dealing with discussions about things that are going to like help us grow and develop a community where we can support each other more. So, but I wasn't sure whether to develop the Sanity Checkers channel for that, or to have a separate channel that is exclusively, along those lines. And sort of what I'm thinking about are things like, maybe doing some kind of meditation things, maybe having some of the nicer kind of the chilled out music, and perhaps even things like just sort of like reading positive affirmations or poetry or statements. I mean, one of the main things that came up on my channel, which really surprised me the most, is I had a lot of people comment on my voice, which was really surprising. A lot of people said how, it was really relaxing and calming, and they had a lot of comments. And so I thought that, I would like to try and build a community where we can support each other. Now, it's not me as an expert. I'm not a mental health expert, but I would be part of the community also doing the things, the meditation. And so it's more about me trying to help myself and others as well, rather than me saying, hey, I'm the expert, learn from me. It's us doing it all together. And I think, if I'm honest, I don't do enough to help myself. And I think it comes down to the fact that I sometimes feel like I need that support network to help me to kind of do it. And I thought, well, why not create a support network that, where we can all, help each other. So I kind of just wanted to get a bit of feedback from people really as to, if they can, whether they feel like it would be a better project to have as a separate thing to Sanity Checkers, or if, they can see the actual rebranding of the channel being a good idea or not. So I'm kind of just torn at the moment. I don't know what the best route is to go, really. So I was just wondering if people don't mind, just using like the whole 1 and 2 number system, because that seems to work quite well. Whether you could maybe just put a 1 down if you would prefer something like I've just suggested as a separate channel, like a separate project, or a 2 if you feel that the rebranding of Sanity Checkers to focus more in that area you think would be successful or a good idea. So just, if you can, just a 1 or a 2 really, as to what you think. I mean, I've loved doing Sanity Checkers, and I'm quite happy to carry on talking about things and discussing these kind of talking points. But the other side of things is also really important to me as well. So it's knowing whether to make it separate or one thing, really.
Okay, so we've got 2s coming in, which basically keep Sanity Checkers and just blend a little bit more of what you're talking about in with it. I mean the thing, speaking from my own experience, I'm an aviation enthusiast, and I've got an aviation channel which I need to put more effort into, granted. But when you go and start a new channel, you have to start from the ground up and start building again. Now, it's slightly easier for me because I've got, 30-something thousand subscribers. So I can just sit on my channel and talk about it and say, over there, but you have to make the decision. Do you take that dedicated user base already and go in another direction with it, or do you do something else? Now, looking at the chat, it looks like mixed opinion, really.
I was expecting more 2s, actually. Like, I thought that there would be probably more emphasis on a separate channel. I think the one thing that I've always said, and I think I did a video about this the other day, that I think when you're a YouTuber or a content creator, I think it is really important to listen to the people who are actually watching your stuff. Because I think it's very easy to think, oh, this is my channel and I just do what I want. And that's great. That's fair enough. But I think for me, I need the feedback, because, I want to not waste my time making stuff that people don't want to watch.
That's right.
So that's why it was important just to kind of get a little bit of a snapshot really on what people have got. And I think probably twos are probably just ahead there, and that's kind of what I've been feeling as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I must admit I'm a two, so you can add another two there.
yeah,
The I mean, you're absolutely right about listening to the community. Or all YouTube channels are their own communities. People come in and they listen and they contribute, and eventually communities form. I mean, I know for a fact on this channel, for example, I have an awful lot of people that live on their own, and the highlight of their week is sitting down and having a chat in this community. I'm sure you have the same thing with them. And I've seen YouTube creators where they'll see a comment they don't like, and then they'll do a video. My fucking channel, I'll put on there what I like. If you don't like it, go away, fuck off somewhere else. That's unacceptable to me. Yeah, you have to
yeah,
listen to what your people are telling you. You get some people in that just want to, stir the old shit pot, so to speak. But
yeah,
them you just get rid of, go away. But when you've got a genuine, nice community like you have across our two channels, for example, you've
yeah,
really got to listen because it's them that it's for.
exactly.
Without them, you wouldn't have it. It's as
Mm.
simple as that, really. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I'm just grateful that people actually listen to me, because I've spent a large portion of my life, probably most of my life, I've always been, um, let's just say I've always been encouraged to keep my opinions to myself, because a lot of people don't like when things are talked about that kind of cause, like, a lot of my family and friends, they would much rather just toe the line and not kind of bring anything up. So I've always been used to, same with my ex, I used to go places with her and she'd be like, right, if anyone talks about religion, don't say anything, and immediately I'd be shut down. And so for me, it's nice that I'm able to talk about things.
Mm,
And I've tried my best as well to make the channel as objective as I can. I mean, that was always one of my main ethos for the channel, was not to, I didn't want to be this person that just shouts my opinion at, just hey, this is my opinion, I'm shouting at you what I feel. It was more about, this is kind of the discussion, this is how I kind of feel, what do you think?
mm,
And I think that's
that's
what I've
what I
always
agree.
tried, and I've had amazing comments, and feedback from people who, even a video that maybe doesn't get a huge amount of views, the amount of comments in relation to the views, that it means that there's a lot of people that are, responding to the kind of discussions that I'm putting out there, and that's great. And obviously, as you go through, you start to pick out names of people who, who regularly contribute, and and it's great. I've really enjoyed that, and that's what I really hope that I can get, going forward, is just to build on that
Mm.
community, and fingers crossed, people will indulge me a little longer and enjoy a few more kind of talking points, as we go on.
Absolutely. I mean, perception is everything with this, isn't it? I mean, there's a lady on here. I say a lady because she's got a female screen name, but she's basically said that you're an unbearable know-it-all. Bye bye. I won't name her because I won't draw attention to her. But
Yeah,
it stuck out like a sore thumb because everything else has been positive.
yeah,
She's had a listen. She thought, no, not for me, and she's gone. Uh, and you've got others here that are being very positive, completely the opposite. And it's all about perception, what you read about a person, what you're
mm,
told about a person, what you think of that person when you listen to them. And it all goes together, doesn't it? Perception is a very powerful thing. And, you know, you could take one sentence or one word in two or three different ways. There could be the truth, there could be somebody else's truth, and then the middle line, and it's up to you what you believe. And I've read so much on here, said about me, you, other YouTubers, and you
yeah,
sit and think, you scratch your head and wonder what fucking planet, it's the way I
mm,
described it. You have your digital life and you have your real life. Your real life is you. What I bring, I hope, is me. What you see is what you get. And there's yourself as well. There's you, but this is our digital life, and people think it's two different two different existences. I don't know whether you can expand on that or what you think, but
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Obviously, it's I can understand to a certain extent, I suppose, if someone is, like you said, at home, they're alone, and they kind of tune in to a YouTuber and they sort of regularly watch their content. I think sometimes there can be a sort of a slight artificial sense that they all of a sudden know you, and they know everything about you, and so, but that's not always the case. We present ourselves in these videos as ourselves, but it's only one facet, isn't it? It's only one part of us. um and I know we were talking that we've both got a son that's the same age as well, so both family
yeah,
family orientated. And yeah, I mean, I was watching your channel for a similar time to Alex Belfield, slightly afterwards. So I'd been watching your channel for a while before I'd even set up Sanity Checkers. And I think one of the reasons why I sort of came forward a little bit and started speaking up a little bit, about sort of some of the things that were being said about you, is that I think the way that I live my life is I judge people on the experiences I have with them,
yeah,
and not based on the experiences that someone else has had with them. And it was kind of like, I was seeing this all the time, that people would just get associated with other people, and their individuality would just be cut off. Oh, they're associated with them, so that means that's the kind of person they are. And I just thought, oh, it's wrong. It's not the way things are. um so yeah, I've always tried my best to kind of have that objective experience with people. But it's hard. People see me on Sanity Checkers for the last couple of months. I'm a new face, and they have opinions. We all make assumptions of people. It's kind of, I think we're kind of fine tuned to do that. We have to make judgments. Evolution wise, we have to decide whether we're going to be eaten or humped. And so it's kind of,
absolutely.
yeah, and I understand why we do it, but I think in the online world it becomes very easy to kind of go too far the other way, and then just kind of make judgments. And I've had people sort of say to me on my channel about that they think I'm really opinionated, or that I'm, well, another thing I was going to mention. This is the curse of sitting on the fence. I don't know if you ever, you sort of hear people who sort of say, well, oh, he doesn't say what he thinks. He just sits on the fence. And
Oh yeah,
again, it's that whole idea.
I've got splinters in my arse, apparently, according
Yeah,
to some. But carry on.
yeah, exactly. And it's that whole idea that you have to be, for people online. People see you, it's literally just one or the other. You're either that or you're this, and there's just
Mm,
nowhere in between. And I do feel that it's a big issue on social media, that people are portrayed you know completely differently to how they are in terms of their regular everyday life. You clearly
absolutely.
work really hard. You do all of your taxi firm, you've got your family, and you've got sort of the whole YouTube thing. And I'm not going to go into a whole load of details, because like all your merch and stuff, but like I know you've had a lot of grief about merch and things. And I found it really frustrating,
Mm,
because to run a YouTube channel, particularly if you've got like the kind of numbers that you've got, takes time and it takes effort. And when you're working full time and you've got a family as well, that takes a lot of time. And it just annoys me sometimes when people like just make a judgment, a snap judgment about things. And and I think that's kind of unfair, really. um so yeah, so I think it's yeah, I mean, I don't know if you agree with that in terms of just like yeah, just
mm.
how we are
I, mean,
perceived.
I mean, the thing.
I don't know if we've got a bit of a delay going on
Oh,
there.
definitely. I mean, the thing with the merch, it's there, but I don't ever mention it. It yeah, I've seen this thing on my screen. I think I'm buffering slightly. Uh,
Yeah.
how do I sound, everybody? Am I okay?
Well, I can hear you, Andy, but there is a
Can I have a
delay.
1 in the chat if you can hear me, or a 2 if you can't? In and out, they're saying. Yeah, I think I've got some kind of interference. It might clear up in a minute.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, but as
yeah, I
Edgar
think
said,
it's
it's like
coming
coming
back.
through. You're buffering, Mr. Buff.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll muddle through, see how we get on. It might be one of my might be one of my kids playing Grand Theft Auto or something. I'll go and have to unplug their Xbox. Where are we?
Yeah. So I just I just feel like I tend to
Sexy
like
bastard,
stand up.
thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Remember, you're a wonder.
I thought I'd better just bring up as well because I've noticed that I think Andy's asked this question a few times.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull myself out of it and then put myself back in.
Okay. Oh wow, it's just me now. That's spooky, isn't it? Oh, as I was just about to reel off my dirty
I think the
limericks. Then.
signal's improved. Careful. Yeah, there was a young man from Margate who. No, we won't go there. Can you hear me all right now? Okay. Can I have another one if you can hear me all right? Yeah, somebody's blaming Jack. Mad Spaniel said it's Jack's fault. Okay. Yeah, with StreamYard, the system I use, I get a little signal thing pop up, and it come up and said it was a weak signal when I started buffering. So I think that was my end really, rather than sanity checkers. So that's all good. Anyway, where were we?
Well, I mean, we touched a bit on the merch, but I think in particular it was more just the judgments that sometimes get made.
Yeah,
about
I
what
mean,
people do.
I'll touch briefly on the merch. I mean, the merch is there as an option. Any YouTuber anywhere sells merch. It's a fact of life. Now, I've learned through early experience, if you turn around and say, oh, I'm on Patreon, go and give me a few quid there, or I'm on PayPal or Ko-Fi, or whatever it happens to be, or here's one of my mugs, go and buy one of my mugs, it puts people off. So what I do, I just leave the links there, and it's up to people whether they find them or not. You know, the merch particularly, there's a couple of online service providers, one of which is called Teespring, and there's another one as well. The name escapes me, but you basically go over and stick your logo on a cup or a T-shirt, set a price based on their underlying, thing, and leave it to it. But you can tell they go looking. What can we find? What little morsels of crap can we find to make these YouTubers look as bad as possible? I'm sure you'll get it as well. Best ignored, I think, but it's just an example.
Yeah, and I think it was just one of those things that kind of riled me up a little bit because I know how hard you work with things, and I just I never having watched your channel, I never once felt like it was being pushed on me at all. I knew it was there, but it never felt like it was being pushed, and I just I'm quite a reserved person, but I think when I see injustice, sometimes it kind of gets me a little bit kind of riled up a little bit. So I think that's just one of the reasons why I sort of spoke up a little bit about those things. I just noticed, Daniel. Sorry, you're saying about my overlit face. Yeah, I'm having a few problems kind of getting the lighting really working here. So I'm sorry if I look a bit ghoulish.
Well, at least we can see you.
Yeah, I need to work on that. And just one thing as well, because I've seen a few people have mentioned this. I thought I might as well come clean because a few people have asked about my name. And I've got no problems sharing my name really. I'll probably just share my first name. But my name is Ryan. So I know quite a lot of you have asked about my name, and yeah,
He's done it.
yeah, it's never really been something that I suppose, I never really thought of kind of putting my name forward because when I first started the channel, I wasn't planning to show this melon head really. I was planning to be behind the scenes, and I think now you've seen my face and I'm talking like this, it seems a bit silly, I guess, to not really have a name, as such. So yeah, there you go. That is the name. Yeah,
Well,
I
yeah,
don't know if I look like a Ryan. I'm not sure.
I
Probably look
did
like a
see.
dick.
You'd have to call you Richard then.
Oh,
No, hey, that's my middle name. That is.
okay.
Yeah, I did see people asking your name earlier, and I didn't want to say because I know we've been talking about it privately, and I thought that's your decision to make. So you've made it, and you've come out. You've told them what your name is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think had I stayed behind the camera, I probably would have just kept, with Sanity Checkers. I just feel like with YouTube channels, I think you do need to have something as a kind of a brand as such, just something that's an identifier, I think, other than just a name. Obviously, you've got your name, but yours is part of a brand.
Yeah.
And I thought it was important to have that really.
Mm.
Because there aren't many channels, I don't think, that just like names. I think usually there's some kind of
Some kind of
something.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, something there.
Mad Spaniel has just said my name is Robert Earl. So that's another identification that's come out this evening. So
Yeah.
Mad Spaniel is called Robert.
And I know Blood Nose goes by Clarence. That's quite a
That's
nice
right.
name. You don't hear that name very often.
That's right.
And yeah,
Alan Edge, the resident comedian, is having a pop now. His name's Richard Head.
yeah,
Yes, the old ones are the best, Alan. Thank you for that.
that's it. Alan is a bit of a joker. He likes, yeah. I've seen
Yeah,
a couple of your little quips. So
no,
yeah,
he's a good guy, Alan. He's
yeah,
one of my longest subscribers. He's a good guy.
yeah.
BCTV, a different videographer with opinions. Her name's Bridget. I knew that one
Okay,
anyway. Yeah, Jane Griffiths, all these men coming out. Steady on. my wife might talk.
that's it. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
dear.
Better get the hashtags right on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Listen, everybody, we're coming up to 50 minutes. We're going to stretch this out to an hour. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on the chat. Let's try and get up to 3 figures as we usually do. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel as well. Free to do, and that all helps with the algorithm and gets our name out there. One thing to say about the content coming out on Andy the Gabby Cabby tomorrow might be slightly later than usual because I've not recorded it yet today because of a stonky airport run I had to do this afternoon. Took all the time up, so I'm a bit behind schedule, so that will come out. If you haven't done so already, please take the time to go and subscribe to Sanity Checkers, Ryan, as well. And again, I put the link to his channel in the chat there. That's all good. What do you want to do now, Ryan? Should we put some questions out? See if anyone's got anything they want to ask.
yeah. Because I was kind of very conscious there as we have been talking tonight. I did see quite a lot of questions sort of going by, and I felt a bit bad that they kind of went by a little bit. So I think if there's anyone that had a question that perhaps we kind of just didn't quite get to, then yeah, we can we can kind of maybe try and mop up a few of those and cover a few of those, I think.
Absolutely. Red Scout says, I'm Billy, only my mother used to call me William when I was in the bad books. I like it. Well, that's another one. I've known his name for a while, but he's never said it in public, not that I've seen. But there you go. Hi, Billy.
It's funny. It kind of goes back to the perception thing we were talking about, isn't it? Because again, you perceive someone based on what you can see, and you see this Sanity Checkers, or you see Blood Nose, and then when you get their real name, suddenly, boof, it adds a layer, a dimension to who they are, and then you realise actually there's much more. There's much more layers, isn't there,
Oh,
to
definitely.
everybody?
Definitely. Here's a question. Running Tap 12. When did you start playing the piano?
So I came to music really late, actually. You often hear about these people who start when they're like 4 or 5. But I was kind of like a rough and tumble kid. Growing up, I was into WWF wrestling and sports and things, and I didn't really show any musical ability. When I kind of got to about 15, 14, 15, 16, my personality changed quite a lot. I became much more mellow and introverted. And I guess music sort of suddenly became much more attractive. And so I started when I was about 15, I would say, which is relatively late. But I worked hard from 15 to like 30. That was when I did a lot of hard work. Um, so yeah, so quite, so it goes to show that you don't have to be like a 4-year-old prodigy. You can start music at any age. It's all about what you put into it and how much you put into it, I
Excellent.
would say.
We just had a latecomer into the chat. Hi, Grumps. That's my mum. Hello, mum. She was at a housewarming party this evening. Some of her friends had moved into a new place and she was over there. So she's managed to join us for the last 10 minutes. I told her you were coming on tonight when I spoke to her yesterday, and I wasn't sure whether she'd get on or not. There was another question here. No, this one's a statement. You know you're getting old when you don't like the top 40 songs anymore. I have that trouble, Paul. I do have that trouble. Yeah, I mean, I've got two sons. One's 18 and one's 9. And there's a hell of an age gap in between the two. And the problem is the 18-year-old's taste in music, which sometimes is questionable and sometimes not, rubs off on the 9-year-old. And you should hear some right old crap coming out the speakers in my house. That's why I come and sit in the garage. Another question for Sanity Checkers by Rye491. How did you come by the name of Sanity Checkers?
Yeah, well, it didn't involve a huge amount of thought. It was one of the, like sometimes when you just get something and it just kind of pops into your head and you think, yep, that'll do. It was really just like that. And I think the whole idea of the name is to do with the 2 years that we've kind of had where everything has been really topsy turvy and upside down. I mean, nothing is normal anymore. Everything is just so all over the place that I kind of felt like the discussions that I was going to cover on my channel was a way of just checking in with people's sanity. It's kind of checking in. How are we doing? What do you think about this that's happening or that's happening? And it was a kind of a just sort of play on words, really, of being just someone who's checking in with people and seeing how are you doing today? Are you okay? So that's kind of where it came from, but it just kind of popped into my head, really. I didn't think a great deal on it.
Okay. I I didn't think anything of my original name. I just called myself Andy Gifford online. Ooh, I've just doxed myself there. That's my last name. Yeah, Andy Gifford online. And then somebody said to me one day, "That's crap." Andy the Gabby Cabby. You call yourself that, and way there you go. I needed to pinch somebody else's imagination, but it's amazing how we all kind of come up with our channel names, isn't it? Or we just
Yeah.
call ourselves our actual name.
Because
Uh,
I think as well, you've got to try and sum up your channel in just a few words, really, haven't you? You've got to be able to kind
mm.
of say who you are and kind of almost give a hint as to what you are as well, but in like very small amount of words. And obviously with your channel, it works well. Not saying that you're a chatterbox, but it works. It
Oh,
works.
I didn't even know what Gabby meant. I had to
Yeah,
look it up in the dictionary, and I got. "Nah, nah, 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 nah." No, I mean, all
yeah,
cab drivers are like it. Uh, Another question here. Alan Pierce says, "Will you be?" He says, "Doug." I'm assuming it's a typo, and it means doing lives,
yeah.
Ryan. Will you be doing lives, Ryan?
Well, I can be Doug if you want, Alan. If you want me to be Doug, I'm more than happy. I'm more than happy to have multiple personalities if you want. um, yeah, doing lives. It was something that I was going to eventually ask in the community part of my channel to see if that would be something that people would like. I think the reason I hadn't asked so far is just I picked up a few little inklings from a few people saying that they weren't really very interested in lives, so that's why I didn't kind of push it so much. But I probably will do a community poll and just see what the general vibe is, and I guess what you would want to see from a live. Because I mean, obviously, I'm going to do a Christmas live, but that's going to be more of a just obviously a one-off type thing. So yeah, I mean, if people were interested in lives, then we can talk obviously a bit more about possibility of doing them and what you'd like to see, and we can kind of go from there. As long as as long as people aren't bored, sick of me by now, then I'd be happy to do like a weekly thing or a fortnightly thing or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah.
I used to do them every day, but you can't.
Mm.
It's just you dry out stuff to talk about, and it gets
Yeah.
samey, and you end up waffling. It's best to do, one or two a week.
Yeah.
Quality over quantity. That's where I hope these ones where I bring somebody else into the fold kick off. I'd like more participation with other YouTubers, because otherwise you sit here and you've got to come up with a narrative yourself, do all the segues yourself.
Yeah.
It's two-handers are much better. Red Scouse says he can't remember how he came up with Red Scouse. Uh, let's see what other questions there are.
I had to ask Bloodnose actually. I asked Bloodnose the other day about their name, because I had no idea what the origins were. Because I thought Bloodnose, what a strange name, and then obviously they explained to me the sort of origins. So it's nice. It is nice sometimes to find out a bit about the background of these things.
Absolutely. Somebody's saying that they reckon I should auction my Sainsbury's carrier bag in the background there. Well, we don't know the contents yet, do we? So that might
I
be
think that's
piss-tags.
always going to be a trade secret.
Well, I think there's just actually more bags. But, Bloodnose has come up with a suggestion, a three-way between you, me, and Absolutely Average. I think that's a bloody good idea, that, because there's a certain thread of thought that's going through the three of us, well-being and mental health and all that sort of thing. So it might be something to look at in the very near future. So maybe we can have a chat about that privately if Ryan's up for that as well.
Yeah, because we kind of the three of us, we sort of have, like you said, a common thread, but our channels are all quite different as well in terms of they kind of cover different bases. So it's kind of quite a nice, it's quite a nice little kind of combo there.
Yeah, definitely. All brought about by our own individual experiences in life as well. And you can't pay for that, can you? Uh, and then you can use that and help somebody else. Very, 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 very rewarding. My mum's asked a question. Do you play the keyboard, Sanity? Now, my mum has a baby grand in her
Oh,
living
nice.
room.
Very
I
nice.
mean, a little bit of family history. My mum married my late stepfather when I was 18, and we lived there at my mum's house. And I think we moved in there when I was about 16. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mum, but nearly 30 years ago. And there's always been a piano of some description in the house, and my mum was always, tinker with the ivories for years and
Yeah,
years and years. And she's got that baby grand. But anyway, do you play the
nice.
keyboard, Sanity?
Yeah, well, before I started piano, I did actually first learn keyboard, and I'll tell you who really influenced me was I don't know if people know him, but the French Jean-Michel Jarre. He was the big he did the one with all the big laser lights and the big shows, and I just wanted to be him. When I was about 16, I just loved his music, and so I actually had a fair amount of keyboard equipment. I had quite a few different keyboards, and I did a lot of albums. Like I recorded a lot of albums as a kid on a little 4-track tape recorder, trying to be like Jean-Michel Jarre. So yeah, Running Tap, the Oxygen guy, that's it. So yeah, I do play keyboards, but not really so much these days. Although a lot of the music I write and a lot of the albums I write are all done now, are very keyboard orientated actually. So yeah, there's quite a few albums that I've done that are very keyboard based. So yeah, I do play every now and again, but I suppose piano is my kind of main. Oh, where's it gone? It was further back than I realised. I thought it was just there. It's like, so yeah, piano is my main instrument now.
You say you earlier on you mentioned about publishing a couple of books. Are they music related or something else?
Yeah, there's I don't know if there's any Mike Oldfield fans in the chat, but I've got a book. You can get it on Amazon, which is called On Track. Mike Oldfield, and it's a track by track, album by album sort of summary of all of his music. Yeah, it's out. It's kind of it's you can get it from most online like retailers. But yeah, I did that one, and because I'm quite into progressive rock, you see, that's my kind of style of music. I like the 70s kind of progressive rock movement. So I've also done another book to do with like progressive rock as well. So there's a couple of books out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Bloody hard to write a book, I tell you. Oh dear. It takes a lot longer than you expect.
Yeah.
It really does.
I'm all right with writing letters, but books a bit much. But I admire anybody that could turn a hand to it. The imagination. Mad Spaniel. I think Andy the Gabby Cabby, Sanity Checkers, and me should go sit in a pub. I like that one. And see if there are any ghosts. We should call it Almost Haunted. Okay, that's kind of an idea.
Yeah, I know my lighting is definitely giving those vibes. I'll work on that. If I ever do go and do lives, I'll try and do a bit of working on the lighting.
Yeah, your ring light. I know I've asked you this off screen, but have you got a control on it where you can vary the brightness of the light?
Yeah, I've tried all the different light settings and all the ups and downs of it, but for whatever reason, I'm guessing it must be because I'm this is coming through my Mac computer, so I probably need to maybe go into the Mac and do a bit of tweaking at some point with the camera settings because I guess it comes up as kind of like a default and that's what you've got, but maybe I need to look a bit more into it because I think the lighting will probably help, but I need to do something with the Mac to kind of make it complement a little bit better.
Right. Really. Okay. Red Scouse has just said, love Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells, my second favourite album.
And it's the 50th anniversary at the moment for that album. So there's a lot, there's been a lot going on related to that album recently, lots of new interpretations and things. So yeah, I pretty much know everything there is to know about Mike Oldfield. I also have done a lot of transcriptions, so that's where I take his albums and I turn them into sheet music. So I've done quite a lot of that, including one which actually got posted out to Mike Oldfield in the Bahamas. So he's got a copy himself.
Oh wow,
it's kind of cool. Yeah,
excellent. Right.
Richie just said I need a bit more light behind me to balance the exposure. Okay, thanks, Richie. I'll have a little look and see if I can do a bit of tweaking on that then, to see if I can get it to work.
The room you're in, what is it? A living room, a bedroom, a dining room?
A bedroom, but I haven't put any of the main lights on. So because I wasn't sure whether that would then negate the kind of the ring lights, but maybe I need to use some more of the actual ambient normal lighting.
Well, I've got kind of there, roughly where I'm pointing, I've got the light in the garage. It's just a normal bulb. And then I've got a ring light in front of me to kind of balance it out a bit. But maybe
I think I need a bit more back there, don't I?
Yeah, sticking a light on and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, we're just over the hour, folks, and I want to wrap this up. Ryan, any last words?
Yeah, well, thanks first of all, Andy, for inviting me onto this. It really does mean a lot, and I think we've spoken a little bit, behind the scenes. That I appreciate sort of everything you've done to sort of help me with my channel as well. I think we both agree that there has to be a sort of a sense of community there and collaboration and helping each other out, and I think that's really really important. So that's been great, and I think what's been nice is I've started to build up a really nice community on my channel, but of course some from your channel have come over as well, and that's made things develop and grow even more. And I'm just really grateful for people sort of sticking by me, really, because I said the last couple of months have been very very busy. And so now I've reached that point where I want to now sort of think about, right, what's the next stage and how can I take this channel and make it better and, get more people on board and make it just a better and better, really. So, and then, everyone in the chat as well, thanks for all your kind of feedback as well on like the questions that I've asked and, just general feedback that you give. I try to read as many comments as I can, particularly on my channel, and I try to respond and react and also take on board the feedback that I'm given. So hopefully that will make the channel better and better as we go forward. And fingers crossed, Andy and Russ, we might kind of come together at some point in the future and do another little sort of live session as the three of us.
Yeah, I think that would work out. And so we'll have to see what Russ says. I think he does his live stream on a Wednesday, and I think he said on Sundays he'd be looking to do collaborations with other people. So maybe it could fit in that way. Maybe. Well, yeah. Thank you, Ryan, for agreeing to come on today. I hope we've achieved the goal of people getting to know you a little better. Certainly a bit more of what you're about. We talk about perceptions, and there's perception and there's reality, and I hope people see more of the reality of what you're about. Very articulate, very intelligent bloke, and you know exactly what you want to do, and that's all good. You're welcome here anytime you want to pop up and do a live with me, give me the nod and we can set something up. If you haven't done so already, folks, as I said earlier, I've put the link to Ryan's channel in the chat a couple of times, and it should also be in the description as well. Make sure you hit the like button on this before you go, and please subscribe to me also. Ryan, if you can hang on when I end the live stream just for a minute or two so I can chat to you off air, that'd be great. And thank you again, everybody. There'll be content out tomorrow, slightly later than usual, but it'll be there. And I'll see you next time. So for now, everybody, toodaloo.
Cheers.